I stepped back against the wall of the building at the corner, just as the first rank of turbaned mage house soldiers rode into view. Sparks flowered. At least 10 sharp gunfire reports echoed down the houses. Horses snorted and shied. 2 soldiers crumpled forward. 1 tumbled from his horse. His boot caught in the stirrup, and the panicked horse dragged him sideways. A volley of crossbow bolts, loosed by the mounted soldiers, clattered against the buildings on either side of the alley. A glass window shattered, and bolts thunked into wood shutters. "They're bad shots," shouted a man from the alley. "We've got them, lads! Fire!" But instead of loud reports, the only sound was a series of deadened clicks. The mage troop swept forward, as a seam of icy white light ripped across the air, as if an unseen blade cut through the night to penetrate to daylight behind. A bright, cold fire bubbled out from the rift. The light moved as if pushed, spheres like lamps probing the alley and the stone faces of the buildings to reveal 30 or more men in hiding. The hiding men desperately tried to shoot, but their shiny new rifles simply failed to fire. The presence of an extremely powerful cold mage had killed their combustion. With my back pressed against the stone, I willed myself to be nothing more than stone. Nothing to see except what anyone would expect to see, looking at an old, grubby, smoke-stained wall. Even so, I dared not move, though I knew cold mages could not see through my concealing threads of shadow. A man dressed not in armour, but in flowing robes rode forward from the back of the troop. His was an imposingly dignified figure, with his greying black hair plaited into many tiny braids, and his black face drawn down in an angry frown. I knew him. He was the Mancer, the most powerful cold mage in 4 Moons House, and therefore its master. In that knife's-edge moment, before the men in the alley broke and ran, the Mancer lifted a hand as he addressed a comment to his companion, a middle-aged blonde Celt, dressed in the uniform of the prince's militia. "They are smuggling in rifles despite the ban on new technology, just as we suspected." The temperature dropped so precipitously that my eyes stung and my ears popped as the pressure changed. With a whispering groan, metal strained. Men screamed as the iron stocks of their rifles twisted and, with a sound more terrifying than that of any musket or rifle shot, shattered as easily as if they were glass. Many writhed on the ground, torn and bloodied by the shrapnel. A few staggered away down the alley, trying to escape. "Capture them all!" shouted the militia captain in a braying tenor. "I want any who survive," said the Mancer, studying the scene with a brow smoothed by his easy victory. "You mean to execute them?" "No, I mean to bind these rebellious plebeians into clientage. They and their kinfolk and their descendants will all be bound to serve 4 Moons House. To execute them will merely inflame their kinfolk to further rebellion. But if these disconnected men drag their households into servitude with them, that will breed resentment among their own kin for their folly in fighting against the natural order and losing what freedom they have. With your permission, of course. They're your subjects. A wise course of action. That will make the radical agitators think twice." Blessed Tanit! His companion was the Prince of Tarrant himself, the very man who ruled the principality centered around the city of Adurnham, on the Solent River in northwestern Europa. Really, I could think of no man I wanted to meet less than these 2. As the soldiers mopped up the scene, and the Mancer and the Prince sat in perfect amity at the center of the intersection, chatting about some man's thwarted marriage prospects, I edged backward, until I felt it safe to remove myself from the wall and hurry back to the alcove where Bee and Rory waited. I shoved in between them, trembling. "What happened?" Bee whispered. "I heard shots, and then screams." We had